Texans returned to practice, and it was an ugly, wet day with a lot going on. A lot of speculation. Are they going to do the unthinkable? Are they really going to go back to that guy? Plus, speaking of that guy, Bobby Slowick.
Damn it, Bobby.
He did it again. My gosh, what the hell are you saying? Let's get ready for the playoffs live in the locker room.
It's the locker room on YouTube. You know what it is. Let's get it.
Good luck.
Hey, locker room. Yeah, we in the locker room. Texas talk. Yeah, you know what we about to do. Localize every angle's what we really do. We the source. We the pulse of the city too. Landlocked. Got the game in the headlock. Localize every time. Can't stop. Won't stop. Yeah, we top two and we not two.
It is the locker room, number one source for Texans digital content. I am Landry Locker. You can catch me here throughout the week. SNL, we've been going at 6:15. Going to get back to 4 tomorrow because the Texans are going to be normal. And then on Friday, back to 4 as well because they will not be practicing. They did practice today. Bobby Slowick also spoke. You won't believe what he had to say when I asked him the question that I've been talking about for a long, long time. We'll also hear from Frank Ross, because he brings the juice. And I appreciate y'all for coming through. Be sure to subscribe, like, right along for the best Texans coverage in the game. Let's start with a little setting the scene of practice. So it was rainy, it was wet, and when we walked up to the gate, I'm trying to go back to where we were. Stutz was there, Aaron Wilson was there, and we started talking about, well, what do we want to see? Well, we want to see if Juice Scruggs is out there. I guess we got to see if Shaq Mason is out there as well, because Shaq Mason hasn't really been practicing. That's an interesting thing to keep an eye on. And we want to see some of the other guys that haven't been out there. So there was something that kind of stuck out, but let's look at the injury report first. This is what the injury report looks like. And I got to tell you, it's pretty interesting. The Robert Woods situation. You might say, well, Robert Woods hasn't really been doing a lot. Why is the Robert Woods situation interesting? I think it's interesting because I don't know who the hell returns punts. I'll be honest. I did observe. I wasn't just sitting there lollygagging. But the Robert Woods situation is interesting because I'm watching him return punts lately. It leaves a lot to be imagined, but there's no one else that has really done it. They've done it with Steven Sims. He's in Baltimore. They've done it with Desmond King. He's also in Baltimore. They've done it with Tank Dell. He's hurt. We got an update on Tank Dell coming up. A really weird one, by the way. One of the weirder ones that you'll ever see. But I don't know who returns punts if it's not Robert Woods. J.J. Taylor was back there returning a punt. He's returned 3 in college. I would be okay situationally, although I got a lot of pushback on this, with Derek Stingley. Derek Stingley averaged damn near 12 yards per punt return and over like 25 punts his freshman year at LSU. Desperate times call for desperate measures. If they're kicking deep in their own territory, why not let 24 return a punt? But if it's not Robert Woods, I don't know who the hell it is. Is it? I think it might be J.J. Taylor. There's really no receiver that I look at and think it's going to be. So they're kind of thin in the punt return area. And I'll raise my hand and say I'm a dumbass right now, because when Frank Ross was having his media availability, as soon as they said one more question, I thought, damn, I should have asked that question. Who the hell returns punts? Because I saw J.J. Taylor back there. Who does it? Didn't ask the question. I'm a dumbass. Be honest, I was just thinking about what are we going to get inside the locker room. But there's that, the Robert Woods factor. I think that's interesting. Other things that stick out on the injury report, you have Shaq Mason returning to practice, which I think is interesting too. The Shaq Mason thing is interesting because I don't want Dameon Pierce returning punts. He can't catch punts, can he? He can catch kicks. I don't know if I want him catching punts. Shaq Mason was out there, as was Juice Scruggs. And I don't know if this was just covering all bases. I don't know if this was just effing with the media during open availability. But Juice Scruggs was at center. And Shaq Mason was at right guard. And Titus Howard was still at left guard. And Fisher was at tackle. And Laramie Tunsil was at tackle. Are they really going to shuffle this offensive line again just to get Shaq Mason back on the field? I'll be honest with you. I did not want to see Shaq Mason play another snap for the team that I cover again. I'm just being honest. Like Andre 3000, I'm just being honest. I did not want to watch Shaq Mason play football for the Houston Texans again. That's me. I don't think I'm alone on that. I've been alone on a lot of islands with a lot of opinions. I don't think not wanting to see Shaq Mason play football again is one of them. Emergency situation, okay. But I don't mind if Juice Scruggs is healthy, leaving the offensive line as is. I don't mind that. Hell, I wouldn't even mind just leaving Kendrick Green out there instead. I'm just kind of overwatching it. They can't quit Shaq Mason. It's broke back. I wish I knew how to quit you. They can't quit it. I want to quit it. Tired of looking at it. Sorry. Primetime says he wants to see Stingley return a punt. He 11 yards per punt return his freshman year at LSU. They had some dogs on that squad. I don't want him doing it all the time. I think situationally, why the hell not? We might get hurt. Okay, he can get hurt anytime. Deion Sanders did it. Azeez Al-Shire, he's back at practice. We told you that he was going to be because he met with the media. Woods did meet with the media yesterday, so maybe this is a moot point. But even if Woods is healthy, like if they're punting out of their own end zone, put 24 back there. Let's work some magic. Let's see what happens. Will Anderson Jr., full participant. He's playing. Danico Autry, limited. He's playing, but I did think it was interesting how D'Amico Ryans spoke about Danico Autry the other day. And this isn't like some conspiracy theory of he's not going to play or something, but he kind of went over the top to make it really, really clear that this guy's been battling. Danico, I got to praise him. He's been doing like so much. So, yeah, I got to give Danico some credit too, but he said that. Neil Broker, who cares? No offense. Shaq Mason, limited. Joe Mixon, ankle. The guy's moving around fine. You would have to cut that ankle off for Joe Mixon not to play. He's playing. So it's on there. They're going to be cautious with Mixon, but he's out there. Speaking of Joe Mixon, I asked Bobby Slowick about Joe Mixon. You might lose your mind when you hear what Bobby Slowick had to say. Quintariano, full participant. Man, he's walking up and down the locker room like a bull. This dude's ready to go. Quintariano season is alive. It's alive and well. I've been on there for a while. He's alive and well. Very much so. Very much so alive and well. Dalton Schultz, limited. Isn't he always? Just kidding. But kind of not. Dalton Schultz, limited. Shoulder. Juice Scruggs, as we said, limited. Playing some center too. And then Robert Woods, DNP. Did not practice. He's kind of at the age where there's some rest going on for Bobby Woods. But that's the practice update. Are they really going to do this? Are they really going to shuffle this offensive line again? The O-line shuffle. It's called the O-line shuffle. It don't matter if you're worse or you're bad. Here we go. Awful. Just awful. Song was awful too. Jared on the soup says, in the last 10 games, Chiefs 0-2 at the 4:30 time slot. Well, one of them they weren't trying to win, if we're being honest. One of them they weren't really trying to win. If we're being honest. Am I throwing down a bet for Tegan Quintariano TD? It's not even up yet. He's got to be activated. I think he gets activated Friday. Yeah. And then we'll peep that scene when it goes according. I bet it's like 20-1. Why the hell not? Who knows? I like that stat though. Dive in and see what's going on with that. Izzo says, "Did you see the Jack Easterby article in the Cron last week?" I didn't. Who wrote it? What was it about? I don't know what were they checking on him or what? Did not see it at all. I don't miss that POS at all. My dinner with him, anything like that. Don't miss it. Let's hear from old Bobby Slowick. Bobby Slowick said something that I think you're going to be interested in. So I've been on my soapbox, even more so than on other topics, about Joe Mixon needs to be involved in the pass game. You've missed all these weapons. I said that in camp it was clearly a thing. And for some reason it's just disappeared. Why? You've lost all these receivers. You can't run the ball. Why, Bobby? Why? I asked him. He confirmed my observation. And then he kind of tried to explain it. Now, the good news is no matter what the explanation is, there's still time to make it right. There's still time to make it right, Bobby.
Damn it, Bobby.
But my God, what an explanation from Bobby Slug. Let's hear from old Bobby Ballcap. Let's hear what he had to say. Here you go.
Coach, what's going on, everybody?
Hey, man, how you doing, Coach? Good.
Go ahead, guys.
Bobby, when you look at second time around against a team like Kansas City, what are some of the special challenges of their defense as you guys get ready for this game?
Yeah, it starts with Chris Jones. I mean, really an unbelievable football player. You know, and when we were playing them and he was out there, obviously presents a lot of problems to a lot of defenses, makes you do adjustments in the run game and the pass game, and Spags does a fantastic job being very aware of that. And they have a lot of schematic things they do to kind of counter how you feel you may have to handle Chris Jones. So that's really where it all starts.
All starts with Chris
And
Jones.
then beyond that, like they're a very well-coached defense. They don't make mistakes. They play extremely clean football. They got physical linebackers. They got scrappy DBs that all can make plays. I mean, they're this point in the year, every defense that's left is really good, and they exemplify that.
What did you feel like?
On the chat, someone asks, Jim says, is Landry a Swisher Sweet or other kind of guy? I like the cones, and if I get the Swishers or the Black and Milds, I get the plastic tip and I just roll out the tobacco and then get like a paper clip and kind of bite the plastic, spit out the rest of the tobacco, and then sprinkle it in there and put it in, and then put it in the case so that you got a plastic tip. So you're smoking out of the plastic tip. That might have been way too much information for you people, and I do mean you people, but ask and I shall answer.
See the throw by CJ helped get you guys done, but what do you feel like was really the thing that kind of got you all clicking, and do you feel like that's something that you all could potentially replicate?
Yeah, I'd say, you know, I really actually think you kind of hit on it. That throw by CJ was big. You know, we for a while, the message on offense has been like, we need a spark. You know, we've been doing a lot of efficient things. We've been doing some good things. Really, until that play, we were still doing good things. We put the ball on the ground, which didn't help, and had three turnovers at the end of the day. But outside of like getting in our own way a few times, we actually were moving it fairly efficiently when we were executing, especially with the quick passing game. And it still just wasn't, everything wasn't rolling yet. You know, a lot of times you just need that energy boost. You need something to just galvanize everybody and get everybody together. And I think that play, you know, did exactly that. And would it have worked if we didn't fumble the snap? I have no idea, but I sure am glad he did, you know, because everyone's just demeanor after something like that completely changed. And the confidence we played with, and you know, the swagger that they started playing with after that happened, you know, that was huge for us. That was a big spark.
Bobby, you look like a
man who's been in the elements today out there. Is it important to get outside and practice outside when you know you're going into whatever the elements will be on Saturday?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's always helpful. You know, the closer you can get to what it's going to be like on game day, you know, the better it's going to be for you. Obviously, when we were out there, we got a little bit of rain, made the field a little slick for us. But like truthfully, when you go play in cold weather and it gets real cold and that field starts to freeze, it gets a little slick, you know. So it's good training for us, and thankfully we got a little cold wave coming through right now, which is helping acclimate a little bit. But I really think at the end of the day, we're prepared to go play wherever we need to play, whenever we need to play. And at the end of the day, I think, like always, you know, we feel like it's going to be about us and what we do.
You talked about that energy and that confidence that you felt off that play. As a play caller, does that affect you at all to be able to be a little bit more aggressive or kind of navigate the game a little bit there?
You know, I haven't really reflected on that, if I'm being honest with you, as far as if it changed what I did. My reaction right now would be it does not. I mean, really, you're always trying to call plays that you think are going to work, that are going to take advantage of what they're doing. And that doesn't really change. Might have changed in that specific situation because we were really close to a 2-minute tight drive. My mindset as far as how aggressive we wanted to be trying to go score, as opposed to maybe milking the clock a little bit, not letting them have a lot of time on the clock. But I would say overall, no. I'd say the thing that affects you the most as a play caller is when both phases, when the run and the pass game are both working together, then that can change your mindset. That can get you in a place where you feel very confident that whichever way you go, you're going to find a way to get 5, 6, 7 yards, regardless of what happens. Stay on schedule. And when you stay on schedule, that's when you have the opportunity to take some shots if they're available.
What do you think of Mixon's? All right, so this is the question about Mixon now. Going to the soup, though. Jared, if the Texans win, Stute's got to get that high grade. I've seen him do that before. It's not like that uncommon. I mean, he's been around me, so there's been ops.
High grade marijuana called Kush on the streets.
A complete square. Mark says Houston wins with defense. My gut says, yeah, that's the only way they're going to win. So if you think the Texans are going to win, it's going to be with defense. Better offense than we've seen, but it's going to be with defense. Gavin says keys to victory, in my opinion. Number 1, Shaq Mason doesn't start. Hey, I'm with you. Number 2, Nico Collins must have 100 yards and a TD. Houston's undefeated when he has 100. It's a hell of a stat, my friend. And number 3, turnovers. Houston has to force them and not have any. How about win the turnover battle by 2? They might have 1. Maybe they can have 1, but they got to force 3. Not have 1, that's tough. Although they're your rules, not mine. You did say in your opinion, so I didn't mean to like mansplain the opinion to you, my friend. Back to Bobby. This is going to make you mad, the Mixon thing, though. I'm just warning you. I just wanted to know, man. Why does this guy have the 3rd fewest receptions in a season in which he played most of the games? 3rd fewest. Why is that the case? I saw him in camp. You saw him in camp. Can you explain that to me, Bobby, please?
As a receiver, do you think there's been more opportunity to maybe get him involved in that area a little bit more?
Yeah, I think he's a really good receiver, actually. I know, you know, we worked it a lot in camp. Like I'm sure all you guys saw that. We did a good amount of it in camp. We did some of it early in the year. You know, and I think as the year has gone, probably have gotten away from that a little bit. Wanted to make sure he was fresh for some of his carries, but without a question, that's something that's on my mind and been on my mind. Like, how can we make sure we make use of a guy that we think is an excellent player?
Okay, I mean, it's been on your mind. Like, what? If you would have lost last week, it would have never happened. What do you mean it's been on your mind, man? Make it happen, Bobby. You got it. It's all good. Get Joe Mixon involved in the pass game. By the way, last time they played the Chiefs, there were some grab-ass screens, and then they threw one to Mixon, and it actually worked. So let's get that going, Bobby, please.
You been in that building recently in terms of the noise, the offense communication?
Yeah, I mean, it always helps going to Arrowhead to just let guys see what it's like, feel the environment. But my gut tells me when we go there in the playoffs, it's going to be a different animal. And, you know, that's something we've talked about a lot. That's something we've seen a lot. You know, we've kind of dug into some old film and old TV copies just to see what it's like in the playoffs at Arrowhead, and is it that much different, and what. So we've talked about it a lot, and that's going to be a huge challenge for us. We got to make sure that we own the things that we can control, and our operation in the huddle, our operation at the line of scrimmage is without a doubt something we have to own in this game.
Standpoint, what's it like where you've talked about CJ's footwork?
This is my question about CJ running.
But now it kind of seems like his legs have added like the whole element that is pretty useful for the offense. What is the balance between coaching, hey, go through your progressions, but take off whenever it's there?
Yeah, it's massive. Like, we embrace that without question, especially when he does it the way he did it in the game, where, you know, we use the verbiage command the pocket. He has ownership of the pocket. He feels very confident. He knows where he's going, and you threaten second level defenders with your movement. Like, a lot of times you roll out and you go backwards and retreat and get to an edge that doesn't necessarily threaten defenders. It just eliminates half the field for you. He's made some incredible plays still throwing it back the other way, but it's harder to be consistent that way. When you can escape up and out, that's a game changer for a quarterback and how that affects the defense. And for him to do that in the game that we had here, I mean, really opened up the entire defense and the entire pass game for us. So that's without a question something we embrace. We talk all the time about when, maybe when not, but if he's making a productive play, I mean, when he comes to the sideline, we're all dapping him up regardless, you know, so we fully embrace that part of his game.
Okay, I appreciate that. Got to do that more too. So more mixing, more CJ legs. Oh, that's as much up to CJ as anything.
Going through a similar situation that you went through last year when you all played Baltimore early in the season, and then you had
shout out to Chiefs Kingdom. What's up, Lego My Ego? We appreciate you for coming through.
Against Kansas City, played in week
Also,
16.
what's going on, man?
How different does the plays have to be? Because I know that you say that there's a lot of things that you all like, that you stick with, that are good, but they're also out on film. So how do you switch up and change it up, going up against a team that you've already played just, you know, less than a month ago?
Yeah, you got to balance it out, right? I'd say I can see how you make the comparison, but the Baltimore situation last year was a little different just because there was so much football between when we played them week 1, and then at the very end of the year, and there was a whole.
I agree with you, but I think this is a very much different Chiefs team. I know it wasn't long ago. Chris Jones kind of got banged up. You had Tank Dell. You didn't have Azeez Al-Shire. You didn't have a fully healthy D-line. So the Texans, their superpower they didn't have. And the Chiefs, that was Hollywood Brown's first game. You didn't really have all your skill guys too. Pacheco was he was still trying to find his way back. So I think this is a much different Chiefs and Texans team, actually, in a crazy way. Jared says the disrespect from Amenahu was wild before last game. Charles talks, man. I like Charles. I enjoyed covering Charles. I like talking to Charles. I know when he was first there, that was when Amy Posick was the PR lady and O'Brien. They didn't really want him to talk to me because they thought I would get him to say something stupid. So I would try to I would talk to Charles, and some of the stuff he would say, I would just be like, okay. But yeah, Charles is going to talk crap. And by the way, he had to put up with a lot of crap. He was kind of the scapegoat for the Easterby era. I mean, they were always trying to make an example out of him. So yeah, I get it. Like, if you're a Texans fan, you don't like Charles Amenahu, and you look at Charles Amenahu and say, who is Charles Amenahu to talk crap? But in his own personal situation, it was a pretty crappy situation for him here, I will say.
A lot of things in between, including like our own development as an offense and CJ's and you know, where we got in the pass game. So that was a little bit of a different animal. This one, definitely, you know, haven't played this close in this recent. There's a little bit of a chess match, I guess you could say, where there's things you know you're going to want to do and you're going to want to take advantage of, and you feel that you're very good at them. But more then likely they probably know you're very good at them also. So they're going to have some change ups to try to take those things away. And really, it just comes down to balance. Like how do we as an offense do our job together to keep them off balance? If they start overplaying something, do we have the offset to counter that so we can just keep them shuffling their papers?
Nico Collins, what are some of the special qualities you see from him that make him such a go-to target for you? And with the other guys, how much do they need to do a little more?
Why do we always ask about specific skills of guys that we can ask anytime? How about Nico Collins against their secondary or something like that?
More just to take some of the pressure off of him and contribute, whether it's tight ends, receivers, and backs.
Yeah, I was really proud of our entire receiver group in that last game. I think for us in particular, that game really exemplified perseverance and character on offense, and I think Nico leads that. Just an incredibly humble human,
deep, isn't it?
Incredibly talented human, and he gets the most out of his talent. He does not let any of it go to waste. Works incredibly hard, dedicates all the time he can, helps others when he can, and I mean it's evident there's a lot of guys right now trying to take him away within our concepts, and he's still finding ways to get open. He's still finding ways to make plays. He's still finding ways to get 30, 40 yards after the catch on a lot of these things, which are huge for us and enabling us to get chunk plays or stay on schedule. But probably what I was equally proud of in the last game was our other receivers and what they were doing around him. Like CJ had options on where he could go with the ball. It wasn't just a one-man show, or it wasn't just Dalton. It wasn't just we got to give it to Joe or DP every play. Like we did feel pretty good about where, especially in the second half, about where we got really as an entire unit and what he can do.
Without giving away the game plan, unless that's just what you want to do, how do you go about, thinking about the offensive line combination with Shaq coming back and you got people out of place, but they played well last week? How do you go about thinking about that?
Yeah, I think it's a continuous work in progress. We'll see how Shaq looked as we go through this week. We'll see how Juice looks, and we'll see what we think is the best combination of the five to have out there to help us go win that game. But that really is going to be an ongoing process through the rest of this week up until the game.
Last two right here.
You can go first. Go.
With another shuffle coming at the tight end position, what kind of challenges does that present with Cade not being available to you guys? You got Irv, you got Dalton, you got some options on the practice squad. How do you go about maybe using those guys and how maybe who feels what Cade was doing for you guys?
Yeah, I'd say it's going to be a group effort. It really it hurts losing Cade like that. I think Cade was playing his best football for us. And I thought in that game in particular, he was playing extremely physical. He was involved in the pass game. He was a big part of why in that 4-minute drive we were able to hold on to the ball as long as we did. So, I mean, really, I think we all hurt for Cade after that last one. And to make up something like that, definitely the guys we have, Irv and Dalton, are going to have to step up and take on part of that role. But we're also going to have to be able to vary personnels. We're going to have to be able to use some other guys in similar type areas and maybe use some scheme to help change some of that up. And we'll have to be creative in some ways.
Thanks, Bobby.
Well,
thanks, everybody.
I know how that makes me feel. Got to be creative in some ways. Okay, well, all right. We'll see how that goes. That's Bobby Slowick. The mixing thing's got to change. The CJ with the legs got to figure out. H-Town Red says Houston has to score more than 30 if they want to blow out the Chiefs, if they want to win this game for sure. More than 30? That doesn't sound too encouraging if that's what they have to do. Be honest with you. Doesn't sound awesome. We'll see, though. Anything can happen. Offense, clear trust issues. I mean, it's weird when you hear the offensive coordinator acknowledge that someone's really good at something, but we went away from it. And the other thing is, I don't know, we were trying to keep, he said he was trying to keep Mixon fresh. From what? It's not like his snap count was less. I mean, pass blocking probably takes as much out of you on certain reps as carrying the ball or catching the ball out of the backfield. So I don't know what the hell that means. That's a little wild. Space Age says he enjoyed Dumb Zone. Yeah, I put that on the channel. Shout out to the Dumb Zone up there in Dallas. It was the best radio show in Dallas. Then they had like a big legal thing with the ticket, which I host on every once in a while. Number one station in the nation, not just sports, but station. But they're doing the digital game as well, like myself. So shout out to Jake, Blake, and Dan, Little Shtick, radio geniuses, icons. Type of dudes. If you want to check that on the channel, we went around the NFL a little bit. Who are our receivers? They're not very good. It's not the deepest wide receiver group that you'll see. You got Nico, you got Mechie, by the way. You got Wayne. He was out there today. Looks the part in warmups. Not that means much. You got Hutch. And you got Robert Woods. It's not great. A little bit thin there. So it's Nico. Rod, that's mean. Nico and a bunch of bombs, LOL. That's mean. What's my honest score prediction for the game? I don't have. I mean, what do you mean honest? Like, you think I would make it up? What does that mean? Be honest. But as opposed to what? Honestly, tell me. Well, let's be honest. I don't know. I'm going to have to get a better feel for it the next few weeks. Someone says people are forgetting Collins was on his way to 2,000 receiving yards for the season before the injury. He wasn't going to get 2,000. Let's be serious. He had a couple good games, and his pace was nice. Well, what do you mean? Like, what is that? I think people know that Nico's a dog. I think anyone questions that at all. Let's get some of that Frank Ross energy. Let's hear what Frank Ross had to say about special teams. I'm pissed I didn't ask him about the punt returner. That's on me. I got to be better. But Frank Ross, energetic ass Frank Ross. Let's hear what he's got to say. Plus, we got an interesting update on Tank Dell coming up in the locker room. Let's hear from Frank first, though.
Okay. Couldn't be more excited for the divisional round. What an opportunity for Houston Texans special teams. It's not every time, like I've made this analogy to Kaimi before. We were playing the New England Patriots, and he had missed a kick from, I think, the 39-yard line left hash. We marched out there the next possession or a possession or two later and got a field goal opportunity from the 40 on the left hash, and he made it. And just your opportunity to redo. And I thought that was unique. So in my mind, man, what can we learn from the experience we had before going in against the best team in the AFC and when the stakes are at their highest? So couldn't be more excited about taking some good energy from last week's win and taking it over to Kansas City and seeing what we can do. These guys are, coached by Dave Tobe. We had talked about that a few weeks back. And
I realize nobody's even asked a question yet. My man walks up there and just breaks it all down for us. Look at this guy. Look at that. Dude, this guy's been watching film all day. Nobody's asked a question yet.
Dynamic return game. So it's going to start with us defending whoever they put back there, whether that's Nico or Mijo, or if McCole Hardman ends up returning kicks and punts for them. So talk about legitimate speed, defended Hardman sideline to sideline, and really cupping the football as a leverage point. And we got to play fast. We got to use our speed and make sure our guys know, like, hey, doesn't matter what it's what the turf, what the track, whatever it is, hair on fire. We need them to make sure they feel our speed. So find a way to impact this game.
There hasn't been a question. Like, he can literally just go up there and summarize it all.
Excited for the opportunity to take your questions.
Obviously, everything.
All right, let's ask questions. I've just talked for 4 minutes. I love this guy so much.
Things magnified in the playoffs, offense, defense. Do you think special teams get even a little bit more magnified if you're able to make a splash play?
Absolutely. I mean, look at the percentages of any time there's a takeaway in a football game from the special teams phase. Why? Is because most of the time these teams are very efficient offensively, defensively, and that hidden yardage it means more against better teams. So you're talking about field position. Well, if you're able to take a return to their half of the 50, for example, like it's hard to get down there as an offense against a good defense and vice versa. So everything's magnified. But that doesn't mean, where I come from, the bigger the moment, your world focus gets smaller. And that's how you stay, hey, where's my first step? Where's my hand placement jamming this gunner? That to me is how you play in those magnified games.
Have you looked at all the reaction that people have had and fans have had of you running down the sideline?
I was right onto the Chiefs right away, but
This is funny. This is funny as hell. This is self-deprecating. This is kind of why we're playing this in the first place. But listen to the self-deprecation and just this is like real authenticity. This is why Frank Ross is a good special teams coach. Like I don't know if Frank Ross is built to be like a defensive or offensive coach. I think he was put on this earth to be a special teams coach. And there's some guys that are special teams coach lifers. Even when the Texans sucked, they were elite in special teams, DVOA. That's Frank Ross. But listen to this, the self-deprecation and just the authenticity for the players from Frank Ross. There's already people in the chat saying, I love Frank Ross, protect him at all costs. You're going to like him even more. Listen to this.
Definitely had a few text messages sharing that. What I want to take from that is all fun, good, the goofy guy with the big nose running down the sideline. But, like, D'Angelo, I want everybody to understand that I can't explain how happy I was for D'Angelo Ross. Like, cut, brought back, P squad, elevated. Like, the amount of pouring into that is just, it's special. And it culminates in a moment like that. And then the other half of it is like, nobody's yet mentioned Danico Autry. Like, we have been working our tails off to try and knock down a kick, have been missing him in there, and finally gets in there to do it. And what a bigger moment. Just steals momentum right back. So just happy for those guys.
Coach, after the game.
All right, so someone's saying he looks like John Bernthal. Let me pull this up. Say
that you all
and is that a race card or do they look alike?
You having him prepared like that made him moment. He said that
might be a good
you all
thought.
practice. He said he didn't even know where the ball was. He just heard the thump. How often do you all practice that type of what he did on Saturday?
Talking about the block or the yep. So yeah, rule of thumb is this, and we were benefactors of them in that instance. So if the block stays behind the line of scrimmage, it's a bingo call every time, because if it's a field goal, they can pick it up. If we knock down a kick, their kicker can pick it up and advance it for a first down, and they keep driving. So the mentality is to just put one thing in your guys' head, in the players' heads, like as soon as that's knocked down and it's behind the line of scrimmage, let's go. Not so they say, oh, we want to tackle the guy with the ball. If everybody's scurrying for it, only good things will happen. That way you nullify a first down from ever happening. And in this case, it's obviously a conversion attempt, which I had heard that was the first time it's ever happened in the history of the NFL playoffs. Like, that's sweet. So good for D'Lo to have that kind of in his stable forever. But yeah, that's a mindset where for us, we need to get on the ball, and and when we are blocking it, we need to make sure we attack it. That way they don't advance it for a 2-point score or a first down. Same on a punt. We knocked out a punt for the first time, and that sucker rolled 35 yards. That was wild. But the right play, and if anybody wants to question, like, the right play is to Peter anytime it getting poisoned, get everybody away from the ball. Why? Because you all go back and watch the Cincinnati-Dallas football game, and there's a block at Dallas, and it rolls off of one of the teammates, and it's first down going the other way. So only bad things can happen. You live to fight another day on a big play. So I'm happy our guys took that from the classroom and the situational football messaging to the game when it happens.
How much pride do you take in, like you mentioned, D'Angelo, up and down, cut, and practice squad, all that, that such a big amount of your group is guys like that, where that's their shot to show what they can do, or potentially maybe their last shot, that's kind of the group of guys you work with a lot of the time.
Yeah, and it's fitting personality for me. I take pride in that. I hope everybody in the room understands that, and I believe they do. Guys who, you answer the question yourself, like, it's so special to coach players that have mental freaking toughness. You develop, like, you can't just say I'm mentally tough. You know, you got to have, since your experiences from Little League football on the way up. And, you know, that just never quit mentality from guys like D'Angelo. Like, I mean, he's not playing at the biggest school in the country coming out. He's small, you know, whatever tags may have been labeled to him. And just to keep fighting in that mindset. And that's the Texans special teams way. And, yeah, very proud of him.
Touch on that, the poison calls, and this doesn't really have to do with you guys necessarily, but every week you see somebody on a punt return, like, fake jab at a ball that's sitting. Maybe I'm an idiot, but, like, what the hell are they doing? Like, what's the mindset of what they're trying to do there?
And you're saying as the return player, like somebody else around the ball? Yep. So there's a couple things. Like, if I'm the reason why is if I'm on the punt team and the ball is rolling and I touch it, that is free for the return team to pick it up, run, and it doesn't matter if they fumble or not. They have to possess it and down it. That's why there's a downed ruling. So maybe there's some of that going on, you know, trying to play some gamesmanship there. Yep. I don't think you're an idiot. Is that what you said, your own words? I do not think you're an idiot, but I don't want to put anybody in a situation where you're at risk for your own team to fumble. So, yeah, I think it's just the smart play is to get away. You know, playing some of that game usually results in bad things only. So, you know, go ahead.
Frank, you know, last in December, I alluded to asking you about tapping into Tommy's knowledge and being at Arrowhead. Going back again, because the weather temperature, how is that? Because it's going to be roughly, I think, expected about 27 degrees. How does that affect your kicking game? How, you know, with the wind swirling, Tommy's punt, and then Kami's what he's got to do depending on which end of the stadium you're kicking from.
Sure, yep, and you know we've already had those discussions and preparing the mindset. So how are we going to approach our kicks during the week? Maybe it's nice here, or maybe you're kicking inside, whatever it may be. But it's with the mindset of what we're expecting, and then we're going to adjust on game day. The best ones have to adjust. So kick to kick, you know, taking a blade of grass, feeling the wind is going to be different in the first quarter than the fourth quarter. So it's a great question. We have to be on point, knowing which, you know, how we're going to play that kick and line it up. So same with the punt. And, yeah, we've used Tommy as a resource for that, and we're going to be at our best on Saturday.
We'll close the chance. This is a little bit of a dated but also relevant question. A couple of weeks ago, Texas was playing Arizona State in a college game, and Sark talked to his kicker before that he missed the kick.
Dude, that was such a look at me thing. That annoyed the hell out of me. Steve Sark takes him out in the middle of the field. Hey, kid, hey, Brett Auburn, go ahead, dude, kick the field goal. And he wanted to go to the podium and be like, and I just told him to believe in himself, and we believe in you, and blah, blah, blah. And then he missed the field goal. Call plays like you're supposed to, and that's when he did it, and then he stopped. All right. Not that I'm upset about it. Keep going.
Curious what you think of that, and to that point, in those type of moments, at what point do you check in with Kaimi, and then also you just leave him alone and let him kind of do his thing? What's kind of the balance?
Yeah, fair question. Never met that coach and don't want to speak to his process. You know, from just to speak to mine it's Sunday or Saturday is not earned, you know, in that moment. It happens today, it happens yesterday, it happens in the OTAs all the way through. So we have our process. You know, I'm not the type to interrupt game day process that we've spoke about since, you know, 8 months ago with Kaimi. So, but we have had learning experiences, and I've drawn on that this week actually. So it's funny you asked the question. Take you back to Kansas City the last time. We missed a PAT after a long delay in the football game of real time. And he's sitting out there and just kind of on the white, waiting for the field goal unit to go on and envisioning his rep. And we talked about, okay, got to go. Like, there's some time here. Go back into the net, get one more kick. Let's reset and let's stay back into our normal flow as best we can. And that happened in this game versus the Chargers. I believe it was the interception, ruled incomplete, brought back, review, then a foul, adjusted onto it. And I said, hey, like, it's going to be second down. Like, we need to go back into the net. So there was a point where him and I have a great working relationship of just him staying into his process. Each coach has their own, so can't speak to the college coach that you're speaking of. But for us, these are pros. They know their process at better than anybody, and I'm there to support them in it. And we have really good workflow as far as how we want to handle those on game day. So really fair question. Try not to interrupt what we already have in place for our guys. So bring your juice. See you boys there.
All right, there you go. That's Frank Ross. Shout out to Frank Ross. Doing his thing. Doing his thing. And Frank Ross, he will bring the juice. The special teams will be fine. I think we can all agree with that. Rick the Stick asks, what's the deal with Nick Wright? Does he despise the Texans or just a KC lover? I think he always supports the Texans when he has an opportunity to. He obviously loves the Chiefs, but I don't think anything's really wrong with Nick. I think he's just supporting the squad, just like anyone does. But yeah, he's a Kansas City guy through and through. So that's kind of his whole thing, his whole bit. So that's where he's at on that. But yeah, Frank Ross brings the energy. Before we get out of here, a little update on Tank Dell. I guess he had his surgery. Aaron Wilson put out the update. I thought it was funny, kind of. So there's Tank. He's obviously ready to go under the needle. Probably a hell of a procedure. Aaron said this. Tank Dell, first of several surgeries ahead of him. First of several, was a successful procedure per league source. Very long road ahead, but full recovery. Return to play expected eventually for a young player with such a strong work ethic and desire for the game. How do we know he's going to have a full recovery? Like, how could you even put that on him? He's still got to go under the needle multiple times. So I don't know how a full recovery can be expected when my man's got the staples or whatever in his knee. And then he's got to go under, like, who knows how many more times, figure out how to walk. A full recovery? I don't know what that means. That's a lot to assume. Full recovery. Maybe I'm being semantic. But when I hear full recovery, I think some fans look at that. Oh, he's going to be back. Tank's going to be back. He's going to be good. Full recovery expected. How can you say that before he's had all his surgeries? Eventually. How can you even say eventually? Trey of Texas, like, how can you even say eventually? I just hope that he's able to walk again. Enjoy his life, whatever he has to do, figure it out. But full recovery, yeah, I don't know how that's expected. Trey's being full recovery equals normal performance like walking upstairs, not NFL football. All right, let me read that again for you, Trey. Unless you just got your lawyer hat on. Very long road ahead. Full recovery. Return to play expected eventually for a young player with such a work ethic and a desired game. So I think you kind of got your lawyer hat on. It said what it said. Trey's in court. He's in debate class. God bless Tank Dell. I don't expect him to play next year. I don't know what's going to happen. Full recovery is saying a hell of a lot. Hell of a lot. I'm just having some fun with you though, Trey. Appreciate you for all that. I just don't know, like, for me, like, when you say that, I'm not saying it's right, but like, there's fans who are probably like, oh, he's going to be back. He's playing full recovery. Let's go. Whew. It's a lot. That's a lot to expect or to say. So we'll see. I wish him the best. Alejandro says, man, I saw the beginning of this. I don't know what the heck. Put my flex on here for this. Hey, Landry, put your big boy pants on and tell Slowick to use your boy Mixon in the pass game. You have Nico, Mixon, Woods, Mechie, and Stroud. Stroud's legs, that's all we need. I feel like I kind of did tell him. Like, I'm not, you don't go there and say, hey, bitch, put Mixon in the pass game. I said, why has he not been involved? I think he basically said it. I think he said that. Jerome says Tank will be back in 2026. I believe in that young man. Good for you. I hope so. Hope so. I just hope that he's able to walk again, have successful surgeries, and we'll see. This is the second season-ending injury. So I hope so. I don't know whether he's going to be back or not. No idea. But yeah, believe in him. That's what's up. We'll see how that go. Do you think Diggs will be back on the Texans next season? David asked. I hope not. I'm going to move on from that. I mean, that's my hope is that he's not. I think they did a nice job kicking the tires. They basically traded back 19 spots or whatever to get him. I don't look at it as like the traditional second round pick that they traded, like everyone says. I think they knew what they were doing when they traded for that. But yeah, Jerome says he ain't have Alex Smith injury, just torn ligaments. Brother, his kneecap dislocated. He's having multiple surgeries. Yeah, I mean, it just torn ligaments. Good Lord, Hardo. He just had torn ligaments. Ain't Alex Smith injury. Did you see the picture of it? Go on the internet and type the picture of. Just go on the internet. I won't even show you. It was vulgar. It was bad. Go on Twitter and type in Tank Dell leg images and check that out. Tell me that was just torn ligaments. His leg was literally pointing to the side. Just torn ligaments? See, I'm trying to be fair to the young man. I know you're trying to believe in him. I'm just telling you, that was not like just torn ligaments. I seen it. He'll be fine. Okay, that's easy for you to say sitting against that whip. He'll be fine. I've seen it. It's only pointing to the side a little bit. They throw some dirt on it. He'll be back on the field. 2026. Comeback season. Tank Dell. See how it goes. Mr. Wright says he said they should have traded to Cade Otton. Traded for Cade Otton. Was that a possibility? I don't know. Jerome on a heater. Jerome's on that
high-grade marijuana called Kush on the streets.
Jerome might be doing his drugs out of a spoon, to be honest with you. The way he's talking about Tank Dell. He might have to light a damn spoon. It might look like a damn auto shop with him lighting up. It ain't as simple as a lighter. I can promise you that. It ain't as simple as in the mouth and the lighter. Blow it out the nose. Jerome's doing his drugs out of a spoon. There ain't nothing natural about that. Might blow up that car. Get too close to it. Richard Pryor type thing. That's Jerome on that heat. Shout out to Jerome. Do your thing, man. Whatever you got to do to get it right. We'll see how it goes. G Corona says Tank Dell reminds me of Will Fuller. Great runners, but they are essentially glass ponies. Great to watch, but they will break. Will's was like soft tissue stuff a lot of the time. Tank's had 2 season-ending injuries, but yeah, I don't know if glass is the right thing. We'll see how it goes. Rooting for him for sure. See how it goes. Appreciate y'all for coming through. Tomorrow, final day of practice preparation. We'll get to talk to. I think Nico's going to talk tomorrow. Will's going to talk tomorrow. We'll hear from them. We'll hear from some other guys on the offensive and defensive side. And there's actually going to be a hell of a lot of locker room content tomorrow from here. And then someone says move on from Mechie. Yeah, got to use him this week. We'll see how it goes. Hell, Jerome, by now, if he's hit the spoon one more time, he might think Tank could play Sunday. He's already putting him in the damn Pro Bowl. You know I love you, Jerome. Appreciate y'all for coming through. Subscribe, like, right along. Always remember when it comes to this Texan stuff, we're all in it together. Appreciate y'all for coming through.
And we not too plugged in daily digital on YouTube. We got taste for days, opinions to give, we got takeaways. If it's up, then it's up. We number one. You don't need to try your luck. Locker room, yeah, we in the locker room. Texas talk, yeah, you know what we about to do. Localize, every angle's what we really do. We the source, we the pulse of the city too.